Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley. Today I wanted to walk you through a short, simple, sweet stretch for sore or stiff legs. This is really helpful, especially if you have been working out or running or just tend to have sore or stiff legs. And it also is really helpful if you have a thing called restless leg syndrome. As you can see, I have a couple of blocks set up at the front of my mat for support. You don't have to use blocks for this practice. You can do the entire thing without them. If you would like to grab them, go ahead and grab them, and let's get started. Go ahead and come into downward facing dog, facing the front of your mat. Feel free to start your downward dog with bent knees. Highly recommended, especially if you already have tight legs, tight hamstrings. Maybe wiggle around in your hips just a little bit. Just take a few breaths here, in through the nose and out through the nose. And then feel free to work your legs towards straight as you push your hands down and forward, reach your heels toward the floor, stretching the backs of your legs, your calves, your hamstrings. Try to create as much length from your hips and armpits as possible. Just continue that slow, steady breath. Now look forward between your hands. Take your right foot outside your right hand, and then take your left heel to the floor, line up your heels. Then maybe stay here or walk your hands forward and to your left. Make sure most of your weight is in your feet. You want so much weight in your feet that if you were to take your hands off the floor, you wouldn't fall to the left. So breathe here, widening your right knee to the right, and swing your hips just a little to the left as you push your left foot down and to the right. Just let your head drop between your arms. And maybe you can even swing your hips side to side if that feels good for you. Otherwise, just stay still in your pose. Walk your hands back so they're under your shoulders, and then step your back foot in a step, and then heel toe your right foot a little to your left so your heels are in line, or your right heel is in line with your left arch. Then from here, move your right hip back, left hip forward. This might be where you want your blocks. If you have a hard time reaching the floor, if it's not comfortable for you, grab onto your blocks to elevate your torso parallel to the floor. Now you can be here, or you can lower the level of the blocks, or again, you don't have to use the blocks at all, but be somewhere where you feel like the stretch is focused on your legs rather than forward folding or reaching the floor with your hands. From here, you can hang or walk your hands or your blocks forward. Push your hands or blocks down and forward as you draw your right hip back and your left hip forward. And from here, maybe slowly fold your head, torso toward your leg. And just take a few breaths. And from here, walk your hands with your blocks or without your blocks back. Now from here, I'm going to move my block so you can see, take your right big toe off the floor so you're now just on your pinky toe edge. I'm going to put my block back down here. And then from here, come onto your outer back foot. So your big toe again comes off the floor, but do push your big toe edges of your feet toward the floor. And then from here, you can just leave your block on the floor with your right hand and then take your right arm up for a funky triangle. It's going to stretch your outer hip, outer thigh, outer shin, all the way down to your foot. I love this variation. It gets right into that side of the leg where it might be really hard to get in other stretches. Just don't forget to breathe. Take your hand back down to your block or to the floor, and then come back to center. Leave your blocks out in front of you. Step back to a downward dog. If you need to, you can shake out that right leg. And then step your left foot outside your left hand, all that on the other side. Spin your back heel to the floor, line your heels up, and then walk your hands slightly forward and to the right. It doesn't have to be very far. And then let your head drop between your legs. Swing your hips slightly to the right, push your right foot down into the left, and then widen your left knee to the left. And again, maybe swing back and forth, side to side, or stay still. Slowly lift your head back up. If you're grabbing your blocks, grab your blocks. And then heel toe your left foot more into the front midline of your mat so your heel lines up with your right arch. And then hop your back foot in a step. Work your left leg toward straight. It doesn't have to go all the way straight. Just do your best. Square your hips, moving left hip back, right hip forward. Then lengthen your spine, flatter back. You can totally hang out here or walk your hands, blocks forward and fold, heart first, head last, toward your shin. Create length through both of your legs. Push through your left big toe mound, reach through your right heel. On your next inhale, lengthen your spine. Again, you're going to walk your hands back, and I'll move this block so you can see. Take your left big toe off the floor, and then from there, flip to your outer right foot, lean into your right foot, push through both big toes, and then lift your left arm with or without the block. Reach up, tack your left hip back, keep pressing through both big toe mounds. Extend through the top of your head for that funky triangle pose. You can gaze anywhere where your neck feels good. Then lower your hand to your block or to the floor. And then come back to center. Take your blocks out in front of you and come into a downward dog. Again, feel free to shake out that left leg. And then lower your foot back down. Reach your heels back, hands down and forward. Big stretch. Take your knees to the floor. And then take your legs straight out in front of you. From here, take your left knee off to the left for Janu Shavasana. Rotate inner thighs down, outer hips up, bottom flesh back so your sitting bones are even. And then fold over your right leg, but feel free to bend your knee if you have trouble forward folding. If you have this huge space between your thigh and your ribs, you'll be better off bending your knee so you have something even to round over. But do push through your big toe and pinky toe edges of your foot. You can grab shin, ankle, or foot with one or both hands. If you're straightening your leg, straighten your leg, and maybe take your forehead to your knee. Next inhale, slowly come back up. Sit up. Take your left leg forward. Take your right knee to the right. Same thing. Make sure your bottom flesh is even underneath you. Turn over your straight leg. Grab your shin, ankle, or your foot with one or both hands. Knee bent or straight. Widen your elbow to the side as you forward fold, heart first, head last. Just breathe slow, deep, even breaths. Next inhale, slowly lengthen your spine, sit back up. And then take your right leg straight out in front of you. Always feel free to sit up on something when we do these seated postures so your lower back lifts in and up. Then from here, pull your left knee in and then grab the bottom of your foot with your right hand and the outer edge of your thigh with your left hand and use your outer hip muscle to start to turn your knee out, all while clamping your heel kind of slightly towards your hips so your knee is safer at the angle. And then try to turn your hips, your torso straight ahead so you're square to the front of your mat. Now you can stay here or you can baby cradle in a couple of ways. You can go elbows under your calf, which is my favorite. And then, or you can take your elbow around your left foot and your elbow around your left knee. Try to get your shin more parallel to the floor. So choose whichever of those variations you like the best. Push your leg into your arms into your leg, and lift your lower back in and up. Keep your shoulders moving back. Lift through the top of your head. And then to come out, if you don't have your foot, grab your foot with your right hand, knee with your left hand, and then just turn your knee back up, extend your leg out straight. And pull your right knee in, and then grab your foot from the bottom edge with your left hand, outer right thigh or knee with your right hand, and then turn your hip out to point your knee out, clamp your heel gently towards your hip. Now you can stay working here, or do arms under your calf, palms pointing toward your face, or elbows around your foot and knee, hooked fingers. Do whatever feels best for you. Square your hips more forward, torso forward, lengthen your lower back in and up, reach through the top of your head. Draw your shoulders back, keep your chest lifting, and don't hold your breath. Really focus on where you're feeling the most stretch in your body and direct your breath there. And then gently grab your foot and knee, turn your knee back up, and extend your leg out straight. Great. Now turn so you're facing the long edge of your mat, or so your heels are padded somewhere. And just take your legs out into a wide seated stance. And then rotate your inner thighs down, outer hips up, draw your bottom flesh back. And your legs might not be as wide as mine, your legs might be narrower, and that's totally fine. If you are resting on your sacrum and you're looking more like this, try to sit up on something so that your lower back is lifting in and up for this. Now from here, take your hands back behind you, keep your lower back lifting in and up, point your toes and kneecaps up, and then push through your big toe and pinky toe edges of your feet, and then pull your heels down into the floor like you're kind of dragging them toward your hips. From here, you can stay, or take your right hand to your right, lean onto your hand, and then take your left arm up, palm pointing toward the right, and breathe here. You can go as low as you'd like. You can even take your forearm to the floor. You can have hand on your shin instead, or you can go arm in front of your leg. Either of those are fine. And just breathe here. Maybe turn your gaze up. Gently come back up. Switch sides. Take your other hand to the side. Reach your other arm up, palm pointing to your left. You can stay here or take forearm to the floor, inside or outside your leg. Go wherever you feel like you can hold with integrity, with strength, and breathe here. Inhale, come back up. Go ahead and walk your arms forward. Feel free to take your forearms to the floor. Some of you might be able to take your whole sternum to the floor, face to the floor, and just be somewhere where you can keep your knees and your toes pointing straight up. So you'll have to actively push through both the inner and outer edges of your legs. If this is too much for your lower back, feel free to come back to hands behind you variation and do an upper back bend instead. You can also use props like a bolster, a stack of pillows, or blankets under your torso for future reference. And it can be a really nice restorative supported stretch as well. And slowly walk your hands back, sit up, use your hands under your knees, lean back and pull your legs in. Take the inner edges of your feet together and your knees wide. And then walk your hips a little bit more forward if desirable. Otherwise, keep them where they were and just slide your bottom flesh back. From here, you can stay just like the last pose, lower back lifting in and up, hands behind you, or walk your hands out in front of you. You can always grab onto your feet, thumbs into the arches, hands over the tops, and open your feet like a book. Just make sure you push your outer feet into each other. If you're walking your hands forward, walk them forward. Reach heart first, head last toward the floor. Keep pressing your feet into each other and extend your knees wide rather than pushing them down into the floor. And try to turn on your outer glute muscles and breathe here. Next inhale, slowly come back up. Grab onto the outer edges of your knees with your hands to pull your legs in and take your elbows around your legs, hook your fingers, keep your lower back lifting in and up. A couple of breaths. Come down onto your back. Bring your feet and your knees together and then pull your right knee in toward your chest. What you're going to do here with your leg is you're going to take your leg off to the right. You're going to support your leg with your elbow on the floor and just hold up your leg with your hand. Now, you can stay here or extend your left leg along your mat. You might have to work a little bit harder with your right arm to hold your leg up. You can stay like this or grab onto your outer right shin, take your leg a little lower. Maybe stay here, or from inside your leg, you can grab your big toe or your outer foot and then hold onto your foot or big toe as you push foot into hand, hand into foot. Keep extending your left leg straighter. Maybe stay here or work your right leg toward straight. Maybe stay here or extend your left arm above your head, back of hand to the floor, and reach fingertips away from your left leg and left leg away from your left arm. Take deep breaths. Then bend your right knee. Take your left arm back to a longer left thigh. And then lift your right leg back up and lower your right foot flat on the floor. Do the same thing, second side. Pull your left knee in. And then grab onto your outer left knee with your left hand. And just take your left knee to the left until your elbow comes down and just hold here. can slide your fingers under your thigh. Stay here or extend your right leg straight. Right arm along your right thigh. Stay here, grab your outer left shin. Or take your arm inside your leg to grab your big toe, first 2 fingers and thumb, or hand outside your foot. Push your foot into your hand into your foot. Keep reaching through your right leg, and maybe extend your left leg straighter. Extend through the top of your head, reach through your right leg, and then maybe take your right arm up beyond your head, back of hand to the floor. Reach out in all directions. And take your right arm back down, bend your left knee, and lift your leg back up. Take your foot to the floor, bend both of your knees. And then from inside your legs, grab outside your feet, happy baby. Push your feet up into your hands, pull your hands down into your feet, and maybe rock side to side, back and forth, tapping one knee to the floor then the other. Maybe straightening your right leg as you lean to the right, and straightening your left leg as you lean to the left. And then slide your hands down to the tops of your ankles. Pull your heels toward your sitting bones. And let your knees go as wide as they'll go to the sides. And just let your legs hang. Relax your legs as you hold up your legs with your hands. Allow gravity to do the work here. And use your hands to pull your legs in. Take your arms around your legs. Give yourself a hug. You can either stay here like this or extend your legs up and beyond your head. Only come up to your middle back here. Then maybe grab onto your outer shins, ankles, or feet. Then push your feet and hands into each other. Or push legs in the opposite direction as you pull your hands, pulling your femur, leg bones into your hip sockets. Flare your toes. And then gently bend your knees, roll down your spine vertebrae by vertebrae. And rest for about 1 minute. Shavasana. Thank you all so much for coming to practice with me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.